Well, good morning, Reading 380 folks. We are now approaching Module 2, and so I want to thank everyone for all the hard work they did in Module 1. You have knocked digital literacy out of the park. You're done. You don't have to worry about that. You'll have dyslexia training later on at the end of the semester, but for the most part, that was the biggie. So thank you for taking care of that. Now we can move on to continuing to read our book, Disciplinary Literacy, which I know you have hopefully access through the library so that it is free and you just read it online. So in this module, you're going to begin to see some very consistent patterns. It'll be very easy to navigate because everything is going to look the same every single time for the remaining 4 modules as we move into all the way up to Module 5 by the end of the course. And I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you in your CPP meetings. Thank you for signing up. The schedule is still in the same place that it was before. I will try to post that again in an announcement as soon as we get off this call so that in case you haven't forgotten where it was, you've got it. You might make yourself a 380 tab of all these important things. I bookmark everything, so you might want to bookmark that because you'll be visiting that spreadsheet a couple of times as we move through the rest of the semester. So one of the things that I want to show you is a little bit of how this particular model looks. So I'm going to look at my other screen. And so the first thing you'll see that we're moving into Module 2. And here are the instructions. The video that I am posting now, or that I'm talking to you about, will be posted right here for you to be able to see. You're going to read Chapter 2. This book is friendly, so I think you'll enjoy reading it. And then you're going to find a chart way down here that lists page numbers that pertain to your specific subject areas. So if you're like me, sometimes you like to focus on specific things in your reading. This way, it's a little bit easier to navigate, especially when you're crunched for time. So if you're a math person, pages 13 through 16, 17 through 18, figure 2.1, etc. as you move through the book, specifically deal with your area. So in this particular model, you will have this. Now we'll be focusing simply on the reading and discussion posts, which are already posted in Padlet. You will be returning to the same Padlet that you had before. Let's see if I can pull that up. I had some pulled up a little bit ago. Here's an example of, oh, maybe not that. Yeah, this one. I'm pulling up the wrong thing on this other screen. So I had closed my screen out. So hold on a second and let me pull up the right ones. There we go. So I'm going to give you an example. If I minimize this screen, I can show you what it might look like. And I can drag this over to my other screen so that you can all see what I'm talking about. Hopefully you are able to look at that. Oh, they were right up there at the top. So here's an example of the Padlet. You will see it says Module 2, and underneath it in yellow, you have the discussion for 2A, and you have the discussion for 2B. The first one specifically deals with the chapter, and if you click on this link, it takes you to another table, which I think will give you some links for the work that it's going to ask you to do. You're going to be asked to go and find some article that deals specifically with your discipline, and that table should help you. And then this asks you to link what you've learned about digital literacy in the modules before to what your discipline is and what you're learning about in the text. Now, here's what's different about this time. Last time I gave feedback or made connections. I might have asked some questions, but you're going to be discussion leaders in your own classrooms. So this is a good opportunity for you to be the discussion leader for each of the modules for either the 1 or 2 questions that you've signed up for. It just depends on how it fell. And you can see, and thank you, ELA, for letting me use you as an example. You didn't ask for it, but I am using you as an example so you can see people have signed up here. There have been a couple of changes in enrollment. A couple of people had to drop the course. So I may have to restructure a few groups to make this work better. But we'll see. A couple of people have then contacted me and said, nah, I'm not dropping it after all. So, and I teach several courses, so I'm not sure if I'm talking about this course or another one, but I've just gotten a couple of emails. The thing that I want you to recognize here is that in purple on this Padlet, you will see the instructions for the discussion leader. So, and you're going to see a list of questions here. These are what we call dialogic questions. They're meant to help your group members to dig a little bit deeper into the content and to think about and write thoughtful responses. So it might be something about asking for someone to give an example if their response was not deep enough, or maybe to consider a different perspective, like are there any alternatives? What are the other viewpoints, or what would happen if? So here's some ways that you can facilitate the discussion, which is your job. So thank you for signing up. Here's your instructions, and here are the 2 prompts for everyone to respond. Now you're going to ask me, when am I supposed to do all of this? Your job as the discussion leader is to monitor the discussion throughout this particular module that you have signed up for. And, again, as I said before, I love Padlet because it goes straight to my phone, which means, or my computer. I don't have to go through all these walls and layers of opening and closing things, and it goes straight through. I can respond in my email. It makes it easier to be able to interact with you when there's a bazillion other things that are also going on. And I know you are all very busy. So I hope you will find this a useful tool as well. So let's get back to where we were before. And that was the D2L shell, which is, where has it gone? I pulled this up and it took the place of something. Let's see. D2L, where are you? I'm not seeing. Oh, here it is, right here. Okay, so here we are, and we just talked about the chapter and the discussion posts. You will see that there are some deadlines, so you want to make sure that you complete your reading by February 5th. These are pacing guides to help you, and that you at least respond to the post by then. And then this will also help your discussion leader to be able to interact with you, because it gives everybody a time frame. So by the 12th, then you've actually answered the Padlet for 2A, and then you've responded to your peers, and then you posted your second response. So it spreads things out over time to make your life easier. I am often ambivalent about being able to put such strict timelines on things, because I think discussion is something that's a little bit more spontaneous. What I really want to avoid is that at the last minute, everybody goes in and posts, because it doesn't leave room for discussion. Discussion is just that. It's about going back and forth and talking to each other. And because our groups are small, it makes it fewer people that you have to respond to. And it just makes it, I want it to be a natural way of talking to each other digitally, because it's an online course, and that's just kind of the way the world works now. So if you can engage in that, I am very cool with deadlines. I'm not going to be going, oh, didn't post by this date. But if I see that you're not engaged, I may reach out to you and say, hey, help me figure out how I can help you so that you can be part of the discussion. And again, that's also your discussion leader's job. If you see someone in your group is not engaged, reach out to them. Help each other out. We're a team. So you be the team leader right now. We don't have digital literacy, so we don't have anything else to do. So that is going to really change the way the course is going to feel and move forward. I think you'll find it a little bit easier, because we knocked out that big, huge monster that we had to take care of before. But I hope it was interesting nevertheless. The next thing that is on our list has to do with the CPP project. You're going to continue with that. Of course, we're going to start with our initial meetings this week. In fact, starting tomorrow, bright and early, I think I have a group at 8 o'clock in the morning, by special request. So that does tell me how busy you are when you're asking for such early morning meetings. I'll be there with my coffee. At any rate, our CPP continues. So this time, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the screen, you will find the Collaborative Performance Project. and another set of guidelines. This time you're really moving into the lesson planning segment of it. So what you're going to do is you created this organizer this last time. Now you will take one of the lessons. Doesn't matter to me which one, but as a group decide which one do you want to start with. You might start with the one in the middle and you move, then you can go left or right later on, but you decide which lesson you want to work on. And you're going to fill out the areas in yellow that are on the template that you have here. So do not do the white ones, because every module we will add to this lesson, and we'll be adding and doing more pieces of it. So one of the big pieces has to do with objective writing. I find that we really have to massage and work on that objective, because a good learning objective makes a difference in terms of how we proceed with our planning. Again, I'm not going to tell you how to teach your discipline, but I am going to work with you on how to write effective lesson plans and to develop the thinking of as a teacher in forms of lesson planning. So you will find up here that there is a video that Dr. Ravel actually created on lesson planning. She does a very nice explanation, so I may just leave hers there, because she also has worked in the centers with secondary teachers, and therefore she is very familiar with exactly how you are asked to do things. So I will probably leave that there for your benefit rather than redoing that particular one. But at the same, and to be honest, I will also talk to you about you and help you shape your objective what in our CPP meetings. They're short, they're only 30 minutes, so we can only get so much done, because I don't want to take up a lot of your time. That said, please remember, everyone needs to be present for the meeting. So if for whatever reason one of you cannot make it, we will have to reschedule that meeting. So help each other out with that. So you're going to fill out just the yellow parts. We're going to be looking at the objective. You're going to be looking at the TEKS, and there's some links in here to help you find the TEKS if you're not familiar with using them yet. You'll be thinking about the body of the lesson, the anticipatory set, the modeling, checking for understanding, guided practice, independent practice, and closure. This formula, this structure of lesson planning may or may not be familiar to you. It's not uncommon. Everyone does this in some form or another. They may or may not write it down as explicitly as you're being asked to do, but these are not unusual terms. You will absolutely hear these terms in your jobs. You will hear things like, how are you modeling whatever it is that you want? What is your hook? How are you getting them engaged? What's your anticipatory set for whatever lesson you're going to be teaching? How will you check for understanding? How are you going to wrap it up? Lots of people forget to close their lessons. They just say, okay, bell rang, class dismissed. That's not a closure. And you will get dinged for that if you should do something like that in your observations when you're being evaluated. And then, of course, because you had to identify some, oh, it's not up here, but well, it's part of checking for understanding. That's your assessment. And you had to do that on the last form, chart that you completed. How are you going to figure out that they know what you just taught them? How did they do? So this is where you're going to post those. And this is where you will also write it in a little bit more detail rather than just saying test. You need to probably describe what that test looks like, where it comes from, and give some more detailed information, because usually it's more than just saying test at the end of the unit, for example. And then you have to list, this is where you can list, here's the instructional materials and where they're coming from, etc. And if you have references to other things, that's fine. But down below is where you're going to see where this is the assignment. This is where you're going to submit it. Here you have the template that I just described, so you can click on it to pull it up and download it to your computers. Here's an example of a completed model of a writing a lesson plan. Here's a link for the TEKS. Here's some more information about writing objectives. There's a specific formula and strategy when we talk about the ABCDs of writing objectives. So please do pay attention to that. And then here's another supporting tool for this Madeline Hunter style of lesson planning that you're being exposed to, and some things related to academic language. And then here, of course, is where you're going to sign up for the next conference. It'll probably be the same spreadsheet, but you might see a different tab this time. And then at the end, you're going to complete your reflective quiz and the rubric that goes with the quiz. Remember, we want you to do well. So if you don't if you fail or don't complete everything on that quiz in the first time, then go back and do it again. So let's work for mastery, and everybody walk out of here with an A because you've done your best or had to go back and fix whatever, if that was the case for you. And then finally, here are those links to the Padlets for our discussions. Same link before. Hopefully you bookmark it. You'll see that every time I open this up, I have a bazillion bookmarks up here. It just makes my life easier. One for the course, one for D2L, and anything and everything I need for the course is right here. See, that takes me directly there into my Google folder. So let's see, where was I? Is there anything else I need to explain to you at this time? We talked about the CPP. We just talked about the Google Sheet, the reflective quiz. And then, of course, here's an outline of the deadlines so that you are not waiting to the end. I noticed patterns in the last module. I know people are busy, but I noticed that some people waited a very long time to get started on the digital literacy, for example. That's fine for that because that was a very independent endeavor. But on this one, I really encourage you to stick to these deadlines for your sake, so that you are, one, successful, two, you're not cramming, and you're also supporting others. Even if you're only meeting with each other for the CPP, but the other things, it's online. So it requires that you keep that conversation going. What else is there for me to tell you this time? I don't think so. I'm just checking my notes, if you don't mind, just because I want to make sure that I don't forget something, because sometimes I do, and I have to go back. The only other thing I was going to suggest on your discussions that we're going to be doing, these questions are guiding questions. If for some reason you find a different way to be able to draw somebody out or deepen a conversation, by all means do. The other thing is sometimes we repeat the prompt, but we repeat the prompt or the question in a different way in order to help other people find a more meaningful way to answer, because perhaps it didn't work out the first time. You will do everything that I'm asking you to do here is what you will be eventually finding yourself doing with your students, especially secondary students. So that is it for now. I look forward to meeting all of you. So I am going to stop sharing, and I'm going to say goodbye and have a wonderful rest of the week. Talk to you later.